medal, don't think about the fear of failure, just focus on the process of what you have to do to get the best performance from you. And it was weird because we'd done visualization before, and I thought, well, it doesn't sound groundbreaking. I thanked him, finished the coffees, went back to my room in the hotel, and I went online and I saw one of my main rivals had posted an amazing time in training, and I got that little rush of adrenaline and started thinking, oh no, he's going really well, and how fast is he going to go in 3 weeks' time? And I stopped and I shut my eyes and I visualized this perfect performance, and then after a minute, I felt pretty calm, and the moment had passed. And then, as you might imagine, as you get closer and closer to Olympic final night, the pressure and the atmosphere, the tension kind of ramps up. It's exponential. You know, everywhere you are in the village, there's Olympic logos, there's people in tracksuits. You can't pretend that you're not in that high pressure environment. And therefore, I started using this visualization over and over and over again until the night itself, when it was almost in a constant loop in my head, focusing on what I had control over, focusing on my performance, my process, and nothing else was important. Everything else that happened, good or bad, had nothing to do with me. I only focused on what I was going to do. And then, 4 riders to go. It was Shane Kelly from Australia, stepped onto the track, and he broke the world record, as if Steve had some sort of crystal ball. There it was, on the scoreboard, the crowd went wild, and I had that moment of panic, and I thought, oh no, you know, I can't match that, and how fast am I going to go, and all the stuff that you have no control over. And then I thought, no, push it out, displace that negative thought, focus on yourself, focus on what you have control over. And the moment passed, and I was calm. And then Stefan Nimke from Germany stepped onto the track, and he went even faster. And the same process, the same panic, the same calm, it's okay. It doesn't matter, nothing you can do about that. And then I was sitting on the side of the track, getting ready to go, chalk on my hands, strapping on my helmet, getting ready to go. And Arnaud Tourneau from France, the final competitor to go before me, scorched around the track, 4 laps, went under 61 seconds for the first time in history. The crowd went wild. But at that point, it didn't matter. I just thought, I need to get this performance that I've visualised, that I've physically trained for, that I'm ready for now. I can't say I'm going to win the gold, because I don't know. All I know is I'm going to produce my best performance, and this is it, this is the moment. And I got onto the track, and it's weird, when you're in that state of sheer concentration, you don't remember much from the night. I only remember two actual conscious thoughts from that whole ride, that minute of performance. And they happened in close succession. At the end of the first lap, or end of each lap, as you come round, you get a split time that goes on the scoreboard, and you're up or down against your rivals. And I remember coming out the gate, really attacking it, launching myself round, crossed the start-finishing line, the split went on the scoreboard, and I heard a massive roar. Now, you're not aware of your times, you don't have any information, you're just riding, looking at the black line, focused on what you're doing. But I heard this roar, this noise, and I suddenly thought, brilliant, I must be up, this is good news. And then immediately the second thought popped into my head. I thought, wait a minute, last year, World Champs, Germany, 2003, every checkpoint I heard a massive roar. When I crossed the finishing line, I was 4th. They'd been cheering because I was down on the German rider's time at every checkpoint. So what I thought was a cheer for me was actually they were cheering because, yes, he's fallen behind. So I thought, it might not be cheering for you here again, so ignore it and focus on what you're doing. And as I say, the rest of the ride was almost a complete blur. Got to the finishing line, heard an absolutely enormous roar, looked up at the scoreboard, and I saw my name with the number 1 and OR for Olympic record next to it. But what was so weird was that it felt almost like a visualization. This ride was so close to what I'd visualized and I'd prepared for mentally, that when it happened, I was almost thinking, is this actually real? And I saw the number and I thought, well, I should probably celebrate, because, you know, normally you're punching the air going wild, but it felt so surreal. I thought I should probably put my hand up, because it'd be odd if I didn't. And rode around with this really odd posture until I saw my family, and my mum and dad, my sister, my friends were on the side of the track with the banner and the flag going wild. And there it was, you know, whatever it was, 23 years after watching the film E.T. and getting inspired to get on a bike, there I was, Olympic champion. But I think we've got the video, hopefully, to show you that, how it looked. Please.
The great Shane Kelly, 32 years of age now, a silver medal winner in 1992 in Barcelona. So Kelly, out of the gate. Doesn't look as though he's tying on, he's still going around the business with professionalism. On the line, coming up to it now, stop the clock. 1:01.224. Let me tell you, that is the fastest time ever at sea level. Coming up the finishing straight to the line. What is he going to record? Look at that time. 1:01.186. He goes faster. And Shane Kelly, they're getting quicker and quicker and quicker. All tune on here of France. The start of his kilometre times on 4 laps of track. Tremendous sprint. And that tournament contest continues. We're going to see the fastest ever sea level time because he could record a finishing mark inside 1:01. It really is beginning to hurt now. Here comes Taylor. Oh, I don't believe it. 1:00.896. What an unbelievable time. The fastest ever time at the sea level and a new Olympic record. So it's Toulon and France leading, 1:00.896. Chris Hoy wants to get a medal. He's going to have to beat his lifetime best and even get a bronze medal, because Hoy's best time is 1.
Might imagine, I have seen that video a few times over the years, but I still get the goosebumps, I still love watching it, and that amazing commentary from Dee Porter. And of course it's wonderful to be reminded that you haven't aged a day, 21 years. But yeah, once the dust settled after that night, the lesson that I learned was a simple but important one. You know, when changes happen at the last possible second and everything around you feels chaotic, if you can anchor yourself by focusing only on what you have control over and immersing yourself in the process of what you need to do, then you give yourself the best chance for success. But what happens when you have some time to see change coming, when it's some months or even years of notice before it comes in? Well, I think obviously that requires a very different approach. Now, about a year after that amazing night in Athens, I received a phone call that completely shifted the landscape for me. My coach phoned up and said, the Kilo, that event that you saw there, it's been dropped from the Olympic program in Beijing. So I trained for a year into a 4-year cycle, and there was no event. So it was a complete bombshell. It took me a good few weeks to kind of get over that and to accept it and to recognise this wasn't going to change. And it was, ironically, after I got into cycling through BMX, it was BMX coming in as a new event for Beijing, and it was one in, one out, so cycling lost one event, and it was my event that they took out. So I was 29 going on 30, sprinters tend to peak in their mid to late 20s. It was looking like potentially the end of my career. But fortunately for me, the week after the announcement about the kilo being dropped, it was the 2012 bid announcement, and I was in London, here in London, Trafalgar Square, next to Kelly Holmes and Steve Cram and all these amazing people. And if you remember, I mean, it all seems a bit academic now, but back in 2005, Paris was the favourite to host the Games in 2012. We were, you know, a long way back in second place. London was not the favourite for the host nation, the host city. And yet we got it. And I'll never forget that roar in Trafalgar Square, and that moment where I thought, well, I can't give up now. I can't, you know, it's still 7 years off, and unlikely I'll make it to London. I'll be, you know, mid to late 30s, but I've got to try. So that was the point where I kind of realised, right, put to bed the kilo, forget, you know, what might have been, only look forward. Basically, it was 3 steps. The first stage was resetting the goal and having a plan. So resetting the goal, I still had a team sprint that I was doing, which became 5th in Athens, and that would be my main focus. But there were 2 options for individual events. But these were very different to the kilo, physiologically quite similar, but you had to have tactical nous, you had to be able to react, you had to get your elbows out, you were racing wheel to wheel with other competitors. Very different to that kind of time trial, very controlled, predictable event that I was so used to. Now, I've googled this, so it must be true. If you write something down, you're 42% more likely to achieve it. Any goal. It could be writing down your shopping list, it could be writing down you want to be Olympic champion. If you write it down, if you commit it to paper, I've always been a big believer in writing down your goals. And you don't have to tell anybody else about them, you don't have to show them to anybody else, but write them down. So I made this plan, I wrote it down. I said I'm going to commit to these 2 other events and the team sprint. And that was it, no looking back. The rules was, you know, no looking back at what might have been. I would have been doing this, I could have been doing that. Remember the number of times during COVID when you look at the calendar and think, I should have been at this event or this party or there's someone's wedding or a race or whatever it was. None of us know what's going to happen in the future. Nothing is predetermined. So no looking back, only look forward and focus on what the next target is. The next stage for me was assembling my troop, my team, the people around me that I thought could help me to get to this, to attain this new goal. Now, sometimes you need the same people with you, but when the targets change, sometimes you need different people with different skills to help you to get to this new point. And really, I was going to have to become a student of these new events. So I came back from training each night, and you train, you go to the physio and get your massage, come in, cook your meal, and then instead of sticking on The Sopranos or, you know, a nice box set or whatever, it was videos of track cycling and watching endless races of the best guys in the world and their tactics and analysing what they were doing and why they were doing it that way and how I could, you know, watching videos of myself get it horribly wrong and becoming a student of these new events. The third step, and probably the most important step, is, I think, whenever there's change, looking for opportunity. And sometimes it's hard to find the opportunity when something happens and it's not what you want to happen and you're forced into it. You think it can only be a bad thing, it's only negative, this is not what I wanted, it shouldn't be happening, it's not fair. But actually, if you look for opportunity, that's when you can find something that can help you, that could actually end up being a net positive. Now, I was going to try and carry over my strengths from that event, Kilo, where it's just 4 laps of sprinting, to shorter races that required more explosive power. But equally, potentially I had the chance to go for long sprints, go from the front, take it on, be proactive in the racing. So I looked for opportunity in how I could exploit, you know, use my strengths in these new events. So I set off on this new challenge and these new events, and there wasn't a eureka moment, there wasn't some kind of, it didn't start off particularly spectacularly. The first season was, I think, very, very steady. It took a while to get going. I made a few finals at Grand Prix events, but I guess I was focused on adapting my strengths and not expecting to win immediately. And I knew that my motivation would come and go, but it would be discipline and consistency that would get me through in the end. Nobody's motivated all the time. Don't believe anyone that says that. Be suspicious of them. But the breakthrough, the first chance, the first glimmer that I thought maybe this could be, a goer, I guess, was in 2007, a year and a half after starting down this road.